Recently, I had the chance to sit down with David Magley, former player at Kansas and NBA draft pick, to talk about his latest venture and ask, what is the NAPB?
Well, it's the NAPB stands for North American Premier Basketball. It is it's a need that I think exists today. Only in North America is there no Division II level pro basketball leagues. In Europe, Germany has 6. There's the BBL, Pro A, Pro B, Pro C, Pro D, Pro E. In Italy, there's 5. In Asia, in most countries, there's 3 or 4 leagues. But only in North America, there's only really the NBA and the NBA Light, or the G League, which has become a junior varsity to the varsity. And they used to be, the D League at one point had markets all over the U.S., but now they're only in the same cities or the same geographic areas of their NBA teams because they want to watch their product play, their players who are their product, and they have a lot invested in those guys, so they want to be able to develop those guys. So it makes sense that they moved closer to home. But that left all these wonderful flyover markets that are probably never going to get an NBA franchise or a D League franchise without anything to root for. So I looked at that and I thought, man, between the ABA, the original ABA that no longer exists, the NBA markets that no longer exist, like Vancouver and Seattle and Kansas City and Cincinnati and Omaha and Rochester and all of those markets, St. Louis, that will probably never get NBA again. Maybe Seattle might, but the rest probably won't. And then the D League markets that are becoming open, like Bakersfield and Reno, soon to be, and Sioux Falls eventually, and Erie, Pennsylvania, and all these wonderful markets, they deserve to have pro basketball. CBA markets like Yakima and La Crosse and Albany, New York. So with that, there's got to be 50, 60 markets that ultimately could have pro basketball. My experience has been the last couple of years, I've been the commissioner of a pro league in Canada called the NBL Canada that does a really nice job. And I thought if we could take this model that we're doing in Eastern Canada, lay it across Western Canada and all the United States, we'd have something pretty cool to work with because it feels like the old CBA, which was a great league that was actually older than the NBA before it died. And so that's what we started to do. I joined with a wonderful partner out of Chicago, Dr. Sev, who was more than willing to help fund this and support it in every way that he can. And collectively, we're going to build something that we're all going to be proud of. And I think we'll probably have a larger geographic footprint than the NBA eventually. We'll have in more markets and more cities across North America than the NBA does, because there's only so many cities that fit as NBA. But in our world, there's a whole lot of demographics that can fit in what we're doing.
When other basketball leagues have failed or are living in mediocrity, why can the NAPB be a success?
Standards. Standards is simply put. First thing is we have to have good owners. In the past, leagues have compromised to get markets. And they'll take people that just love basketball, that don't necessarily have the funding to do it the right way, or the business acumen, or the business sense of why this is logical to their core business. How does this help their core business grow? If you're a developer, does it make sense to be able to bring an entertainment value? If you're somebody that cares about your community, does it make sense to bring something that goes into schools and impact lives? And do I want my brand attached to that? So that's the first thing we look for. Second thing is we charge more money than most teams have ever had to pay at this level, partly because we want real owners to come in and they recognize that we have to have the funding to run the league the right way. The third thing is we're going to play in good venues. The fourth thing is all of our players are going to get paid. In the past, that hasn't happened by other acronym leagues. All of our uniforms are going to be consistent throughout the league. All of our venues are going to have live streaming and television capabilities. We're going to have drug testing and levels of standards for the human beings. And most importantly, all of our kids are going to be in schools. They're going to be with youth clubs, and they're going to deliver messages that only pro athletes can deliver. And that's stay in school, stay off drugs, don't bully, don't cyberbully, and work with the school districts to have an impact. These pro athletes today make so very much money that it's hard to pull them into a school and work the schools. Plus, because they're so important to their pro sport, they don't have the time for that. We will. Our tagline is where the NAPB, where the spirit of the game still lives. Our guys play for the love of the game, love of community, love of themselves, and love of their teammates. And with that, that's really consistent with what we're trying to say.
Other than yourself and Dr. Sev, are there any other names that basketball fans might be familiar with that are involved in this league?
There'll be Paul Mokeski coaching the Vegas team, and he was a 12-year NBA veteran that was around the NBA and the D League for the last 25 years as a coach. Our business development guy that is also going to be the assistant coach in Vegas is Sean Higgins, and Sean played with the Michigan National Championship team as well as in the NBA for 7 or 8 years. Vincent Askew will be involved with the Seattle franchise in some capacity. Vincent was the guy that tried to guard Michael Jordan in the finals. And I say tried because nobody succeeded very well since I guarded him at North Carolina. That's a joke.
Fans of the NBA over the last 25 years just might know of your director of officiating.
Great question. Ronnie Nunn is a 25-year veteran referee, was an 8-year veteran of the head of referees, of all referees for the NBA. He also played in the original Eastern League CBA. So he's got a wealth of knowledge, and he's going to take our officiating to a level that is comparable to the NBA. And for our level of league, that's never existed before.
David, why should potential owners invest in the NAPB?
I just think it's important that the investors recognize this is an opportunity to come in and impact your community. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but relative to people that have a lot of money, it's not that much. So there's a fairly low barrier to entry, but the upside is tremendous. We believe that the franchises that are today a couple $100,000, within 5 years will be worth $1 million. Mainly because as this footprint gets as larger than the D League, the teams are selling for $8 million there. There's no reason to believe we can't at least get to $1 million of that in the next 5 years. So we're excited that these are good investments. They're going to grow in value, and the popularity of the game is going to be spread across all of North America.
Time will tell if the NAPB has what it takes to survive. The league appears to have the right mix of basketball and business smarts at the top, which could lead to the NAPB becoming a household name. Visit napbasketball.com for more information and how you can be involved. I'm Sean Wally.